What's up, beautiful coaches? I'm back with these walk and talks, and I want to talk today about truth slaying and how it's going to help you make more money, retain clients for longer, and work with higher quality, higher paying clients. So many coaches are out there playing the acquisition game, chasing new clients, trying to go viral, getting reach. I play a totally different game. The game I play is about retention, client delivery, and marketing is almost an afterthought. And if I look at the amount of money that I've made as a coach myself, the majority has actually come from repeating clients, retention. And the reason why I'm able to retain clients is I'm not their friends. And I lean into truth slaying versus niceties. Now, of course, there's a time to be a client's cheerleader. There's a time for compassion and softness. But as a general rule of thumb, if you look across the whole coaching market, most coaches are far too nice and they buy into stories. So let me make this real for you. A week or so ago, I was coaching a client who's worked with me for 3 years now and spent or invested, I think, over 40k, maybe even 50k with me in the last 3 years. He's come to Madeira for a one-on-one retreat and also mainland Portugal for a 4-day retreat with me, and he's coming again in October. Now, the reason why I've been able to work with him for that long and the reason why he's continuing to invest in me is because I call out his deepest truth. So in this session last week, he started the call. He's like, look, life's going really well. I'm flying in work, I'm flying in business, I'm loving family life, I'm really relaxed, health's good. I don't really have much to talk about. And I sat with that and said, well, what's on your mind? And he said, well, actually, come to think of it, I'm thinking of asking for a pay rise. I said, cool. How much do you want to ask for? Was my first question. He said, 50 grand. And he kind of went into some reasoning as to why. And my earlier version of myself, a month out of coaching, would have bought into that 50 grand and built a whole strategy around how to make or how to help him ask for a 50 grand pay rise. Because that, I could tell, felt a little edgy for him. But I just knew it wasn't his truth. I knew he was holding back, and I could sense this sort of shame, embarrassment for wanting more money or asking for more money. So I just said, what do you really want? Because I don't believe that's what you want. What do you really want? And he said, yeah, okay. Yeah, 75 grand. And I said, why? And he gave me some very logical reasons, and I noticed he was very heady. And I, again, just didn't buy into it. I shared that. I feel like you're holding back. What do you really want? He said, okay, 100 grand. There's a bit more substance there. There was a bit more oomph, and there was a bit more truth I could sense. But still, he was holding back. So I guided him into his body and said, look, let that go. Take a breath in. Let that story, let that performance go of what you should ask for. Root into your body, get into your core, sit like a king, embody truth. And I then asked, what do you really want? He said, 125 grand. I said, why do you want it? And he went back into his head. He went back into his mind. I could sense it. I said, no, stop. Come back into your body. And this went on for about another 5 minutes or so. And I kept on guiding him back into his body because he's so conditioned, as am I, as are you, as everyone, to perform, to hold back. And he was just performing. And again, I asked him and guided him back into his body, back into his truth. And eventually it came. He said 150 grand, and here's why. And he went bang, 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 bang. And it was pure power, pure presence, no performance, just total truth. And that took around 10-15 minutes to get there. And also a fair bit of discomfort, because I kept challenging him. I kept calling him out. Every time he went into his mind, I said, nope, you've gone to your head. And this is real discernment, because at times it was like, yeah, I could feel it, but there was just this part of me, this intuitive nudge inside of me saying, he's performing here. And I think we all have, well, I know we all have that truth meter inside of us. We can sense when someone is performing. We can sense when someone is speaking from truth. And as coaches, if you want to start coaching powerfully, if you want to guide your clients into their truth, which is, I think, one of our biggest roles as coaches, is to start calling out when you sense performance, when you sense story, and continue to guide your clients back into truth. So that's the first thing I wanted to share. But the reason I'm able to, or was able to, guide my client into his truth is because I am relentlessly seeking my own truth. And this has been a very challenging journey and an ongoing one, of course. Again, we are so conditioned. So just walking through this mini jungle here, we're so conditioned to lie to ourselves. And on a recent container with a guy called John Wyland, who's probably one of the world's leading men's coaches, one of the calls was all about speaking truth, radical honesty. And it started with asking ourselves, where are we lying to ourselves? And we were put into a little breakout room with 3 other guys, and we would just say out loud, I'm lying to myself here. 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 And what I noticed every time I would share a lie is that there was so much more vitality inside of me. There was so much freedom in saying where I'm lying to myself. And it was funny because one of my lies was around food. I've had a very complicated relationship with food and still kind of do. It's an ongoing journey, of course. And one of my lies was like, I lie to myself every time they say I'm not going to eat peanut butter again, one of my vices. I lie to myself every time I binge and say this is never going to happen again. I lie to myself every time I eat a ton of food and say I'm going to fast for the next 48 hours. Now, as I was saying all these lies, like I felt this vitality. Now, the funny thing is, after that breakout room, we had a 15-20 minute break. And I went and smashed a load of Philadelphia and crackers. And I came on and I said, look, John, I put my hand up. I said, look, I kind of get it. I can feel this freedom, but I just went and did the behavior. And he invited me into an even deeper truth. He said, well, what's the real truth? Just no holds barred. And we eventually got to the statement of, I am totally committed to making myself feel like shit by overeating. No problem. And this is where the gift of compassionate truth lies. By saying no problem, it actually frees you from these lies. We are all fucked up. We are all messed up humans. We lie to ourselves even though we know it's no good. We overeat. We overspend. We do all these things even though we know it's not good for us. And when we give that compassionate gift of no problem, again, there's more vitality there to change the actual behavior. And I have seen that in myself. So I rarely binge. In fact, I can't remember the last time I did. My relationship with food has completely changed with this compassionate, radical truth by just being really honest with myself. So now every time I sense myself lying, I try and go into that. Well, I go into that truth and radical truth. It could be, I'm really scared of getting rejected. No problem. I need my clients to validate me. No problem. And by speaking these truths out, paradoxically, I now have more vitality to change the behavior itself. So the purpose of sharing this is that if you want to guide your clients into deeper truths, you have to start there yourself. You have to quit the lies, quit the performance, and start being radically honest with yourself. And when you do, you'll be set free. As the quote goes, the truth will set you free, and it will set your clients free too. But it starts with us. So if you want to make more money, have greater impact as a coach, retain dream clients for literally years, have them spend 4 days with you in person, stop buying into their performance, stop buying into their stories, stop being their friend, and act as that truth compass. Act as that truth slayer, as a previous mentor said to me, and start slaying truth. Start speaking out when you feel performance, when you feel truth. And the way to develop this discernment of what is truth and what is not is to start being radically honest with yourself, combining it with that compassionate truth. And you'll watch your own personal growth, your own personal journey radically change, but also your clients. So I hope this makes sense. I'm going to be back with a lot more of these walk and talks, and I will see you very soon. Sending you so much love.